Time for a much longer discourse on the Amulet of UR.
Necronomicon is coming.
So a couple of hours ago, I think maybe 1 or 2 hours ago, I got a comment asking about the necklace or pendant that is mentioned on page 11 of the Necro, which would be, if I can get it right, the amulet, which is the square-shaped glyph that you see right there. Now, like the story in the Testimony of the Mad Arab Part 1 goes, that, he was high up on the mountains and the occultists came, and after they vanished, of course I'm giving a SparkNotes version here, he goes back up to the fire pit where he was at and he finds an amulet in the embers, and that happens to be, if it would stop fighting with me, this one right here. It's the same as the picture that I showed you guys from page 11. Now, this one, of course, like I mentioned before, I had some friends of mine make it, and I know that one other YouTuber that has been watching my videos and talking with me actually contacted them about making one for them as well. And I can post a link to their website under this video if anybody wants to get their hands on one. Now, what was brought up to me was, how do you consecrate the amulet? Let's go over a couple of things first. First of all, it's not supposed to be shown any daylight, otherwise you have to consecrate it again, because Shamash is greedy and Shamash likes to take power from anyone. Go figure, the powerhouse in the solar system likes to take power. Kind of allegorical right there. So it has to be made on a silver plate. Now, this one isn't 100% accurate because it is silver, but of course the design is not etched on it, but I liked it. And like I said, my friends did a very fantastic job with it. Now, the amulet's supposed to be worn at all times, not shown in the sunlight, and it's a symbol of the tradition. Now, there's a couple of clues that go along with this here. The obelisk that the Mad Arab was camping underneath, which was the gate to the outside that had the 3 seals of Mashu on it, that's the gate to the outside, right? Any gate has a gate and a seal. Now, it's not specifically written in the Necronomicon that it is that this is a seal, but it's the sign of the covenant, and the covenant is essentially what humans do for the gods and what gods do for humans. Now, one of our duties as priests of the tradition is to keep the gate to the outside sealed and make sure that none of the ancient ones are able to wreak havoc. Now, allegorically, what does that mean? That means we keep our emotions in check. This is a symbol of being able to keep your emotions in check and being a master of your being and a master of your world. Now, to consecrate it, I would follow the Necronomicon ritual format proper that goes along with the Book of the Calling, with lighting the 4 lamps, invoking the 4 directions, calling Anu, Enlil, and Enki, and then really setting an intention for what you want this necklace to mean. Now, even I have a recording of a lecture that Simon gave back in the Magical Child bookshop in New York City a couple decades ago, and Simon himself mentions that there is no particular ritual in the book for consecrating the Amulet of UR. However, this is kind of one of those times when you get to put your own spin on it. Remember, whenever you do a magical working, it has to have a particular framework, which is the cleansing of the area. Now, there's incantations in the Book of Calling for cleansing your ritual space, and then you light you cast a double circle of flower. Light the 4 lamps. If you have already summoned your watcher, I would summon the watcher to watch over the spell work that you are doing, and invoke Anu, Enlil, and Enki, and really kind of bring an offering of honey or pine resin or incense even, or olearbos, and burn it in the watcher bowl. And if you have a cauldron or a brazier, you can also burn it there with a charcoal briquette and dedicate the smoke that it gives off for Anu, Enlil, and Enki. And, a typical kind of consecration ritual for something like this would be to ask the gods to bless it with their energy as you put your intent into it, that you are going to be a watcher over the gate and follow along with what our duty is as bearers of the Aura Star and what our sacred lineage, having the breath of the Elder Gods and the blood of the Ancient Ones within us, to where we are the balance and we are supposed to keep the Ancient Ones out and always hold that higher intention and higher knowing towards higher ends for everyone and not letting our emotions run rampant. So really follow the ritual format. And if anybody has any confusion on exactly how to follow it, because the book can be hard to read, I am happy to provide materials for that for anyone that's stepping into this work to really get their hands on and get an understanding of how the rituals in the Necronomicon works. And I hope that this video helped with answering some of those questions. So, like I said, if anybody wants to get their hands on one of these, if you don't want to make it yourself, you can check in a previous video where I actually had one that was made out of paper, laminate from a laminating machine, and string. That was my Amulet of UR version 1.0 before my friend made me this one and the other one, which I think is upstairs. But if anybody wants to get their hands on one, check the description for a link to their website. And just keep experimenting with the book. And questions, comments, complaints, concerns, issues, email me at priesttothenecro@gmail.com. And good hunting, guys.